What's going on, YouTube? Once again, it's Kennard Brennan Stewart here for the podcast talking Auburn football. Man, it is the Deep South oldest rivalry with Auburn taking on Georgia this particular weekend. Man, I see some folks are already in the live chat. Kelsey Gardner is in the house. Bird Eye War Damn Eagle 5, Trevor Thornton, Derek Long. Let's see. Let's go up a little bit. I thought I saw a Go Dogs in this thing. Welcome. War Damn Eagle guys. I can make it. Hell yeah. All right. So, oh yes, SI that says Go Dogs. We're gonna put him up there. Want to ask him a few questions. Man, I think Auburn and Georgia obviously going to be sporting two of the best defenses in the country in this particular game. Georgia actually statistically better than Auburn as far as defense goes. Only allows about 10 points per game. Those guys are actually pretty stout. I think once I actually saw them play against Missouri last week. They're pretty sound on defense. Offense still trying to get some things together. But we're going to kind of dig into some things. I like one thing I like about is our defensive battles between teams, especially in the SEC. We saw not Auburn, but LSU against Alabama in an uncharacteristic shootout up in Tuscaloosa. Man, that was a hell of a ball game. For Auburn's sake, Auburn actually needed Alabama to beat LSU so that Alabama could come full steam ranking wise to kind of get Auburn back into this whole, thing as far as an outside shot at a college football playoff, which I don't think will happen even if Auburn does win out. But at the same time, it is what it is. We got to get a video. Yeah, we sure do. I do not mind doing it. Unleash Magazine says, "What's up, Noop?" I'm going to go ahead and give him the signed pledge Kappa Alpha Psi, the Theta Delta chapter at Auburn University back in 2000. Big shout out to the Throwdown chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. Auburn defensive has a good edge with KJ Britt and Brown on. Man, you know what? I really am starting to like the whole KJ Britt thing, the Christian Tutt thing. Christian Tutt plays with a lot of moxie, a lot of, swagger. He brings that swagger to this Auburn defense. Big shout out to get KJ Britt and what he's been able to do. Really like what I've seen out of him. Now, we're going to start real quick talking about Gus Malzahn, man. A lot of folks like to say that I sunshine pump Gus Malzahn. No, I don't necessarily sunshine pump Gus Malzahn, but I like to be fair at the same time. The guy started out as a high school coach, garnished his way into the Power 5 ranks, somehow got his, it's kind of like he pimped his way into the college football game. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a high school coach, and then he kind of weaseled his way into a position as an offensive coordinator at Arkansas, and then at Tulsa, and you know what I'm saying? And things just kind of roll from there. He's kind of like one of those guys that, you fill out a resume for the job that you're not quite qualified for, and then you F around and actually get it. And that's where we're at with Gus Malzahn. And he's just kind of weaseling his way through this thing, and he's made some good things happen in 2013, actually leading Auburn to a national championship game. Of course, losing that game to Florida State. And that's where all the hate began, because you think about the next year, Auburn underachieved under the second year of Nick Marshall, going 8-5, losing the game against Wisconsin in a shootout with Alabama because of anemic defense, actually losing to Alabama 55-44. Who would ever thought that the Iron Bowl would actually be like a serious shootout? So, Gus Malzahn has had his hits and misses along the way, and now we are where we are here in 2019. Gus Malzahn back in 2017, kind of in a similar position this year. Man, I appreciate that super chat. Let me go ahead and put that up there. You think we'll beat Georgia Southern Junior? Man, you're going to put Georgia out there like that? Georgia Southern Junior? Holy shit. Hey, I think we will. I think we can. I think we have the tools to do so. But back to the whole Gus Malzahn thing, man, I appreciate the super chat. $1.99, man. That goes a long way. Exchequer and keeping this channel going. You guys do not know how much I appreciate all of that kind of stuff. War Eagle. Now, here's the thing with Gus Malzahn. He's in a similar position that he was in, 2017, where Arkansas has actually fired their coach. Chad Morris didn't work out. I think he won like 4 games in a couple of years, and that's not happening at Arkansas. I'm not saying that Arkansas is a super tier program, but they're not the kind of program that should be losing like that. You know what I'm saying? So either way, I like God Body. He said we should not lose. What is it? Yeah, we need a big win. Auburn. We'll take this one 13-10. I mean, man, that's too close for me, but I mean, it is what it is. But either way, Gus Malzahn is in a position to where, given the outcome of this particular month with Auburn football, I mean, he might have to make some choices and say, hey, the administration may even, sit down with him and say, hey, it might be a good situation for you to take on that Arkansas job, but who knows? We just got to let this thing play out. I think Gus Malzahn is in a great position, got a great defense going into this Georgia game. This is a very manageable game for Georgia, but we have to wonder, like, what version of the offense will show up. I don't like people. Let's see what Blake Roberts says. I don't like people talking bad. Bo, yeah, he struggled, but he's only a true freshman, guys. Next year, I guarantee you, he will be experienced and feel more comfortable. Now, I can kind of dig that. You know what I'm saying? I really I can dig that. I think Bo Nix is the kind of quarterback that has shown some promises in spots, but struggle in some other areas. I was actually looking at Joe Burrow today in the LSU game against Alabama. And, I don't think LSU's offensive line is just catastrophically that much better than Auburn's offensive line. But what I did see in Joe Burrow is that he's very comfortable in the pocket. Even when the pocket breaks down and even when things just gets real shaky, Joe Burrow is the kind of quarterback that I have rarely ever seen him scramble. And yes, sir. What's going on, Ernest Brown? I rarely, if ever, have seen Joe Burrow just bail on the plate and just totally screw things up. If you sack him, you're gonna sack him right in the middle of the pocket. If he gets out, he's taking either the kind of like the outside of the C gap, maybe the D gap, but he's going to make you pay. If you put pressure on him and if you don't have a legitimate spy in front of him, Joe Burrow is going to make you pay. And when I started to think about it, as a matter of fact, one of the Auburn legends, I feel, as running back, Brad Lester on Facebook, he even said it like, if Bo Nix could kind of adopt his game based on, based on what Joe Burrow likes to do, then maybe he could move, and that is part of development that God Body is talking about. That's where you started to when you talk about development, it's all about navigation. You see where a quarterback is struggling. Most of us, as these armchair quarterbacks and these talking heads and these analysts, we can see this. We can see that if Bo Nix would just take his time and really take the situation for what it truly is, he can really make some really good plays. He did it against Oregon, but it seems like there's a lack of trust somewhere down the line between where when things started to get kind of shaky, Bo Nix is just out. I mean, it's a wrap for Bo Nix. But anyway, we're talking about Auburn's defense in comparison to Georgia's defense. I think that, both defenses statistically are very, very sound on defense. But one thing about it, and for all you Georgia fans that may be joining tonight, want to welcome you all to the channel. I don't want to I'm not a homer. You know what I'm saying? I like to call this thing for what it is. And when I think about the Auburn defense, I think about the fact that Auburn defense at this point, when you look at the whole totality of the stats, I think Auburn defense is a little bit more battle tested than Georgia at this point. I think Georgia's defense is very good. I saw them today in the Kentucky game. I saw them today in the Florida game. I also caught a glimpse of them in the Missouri game. Those guys play very, very well, and I think they're very talented, especially when you look at some of the guys, especially in the secondary. Those are the guys that I'm mostly concerned about, because you talk about Eric Stokes, DJ Daniel, J.R. Reed, and Richard LeCounte, who's been getting a lot of press here lately. I'm really concerned about their ability to create some anxiety for Bo Nix. I don't think when I saw the totality of their defense that they matched the top 7 of Auburn. They also, in my opinion, don't match the versatility of what Auburn is able to do. Number one, I think the fact that Auburn is able, with their defensive line, to be versatile, to be able to move, Derek Brown up and down the line of scrimmage. He can play wherever he wants to, and Auburn's defensive line still doesn't miss a beat. But what we talked about during the Vegas watching Auburn, oh yeah, big time. We're gonna talk about Vegas in a minute. I got a bone to pick with them anyway. But either way, you talk about the Auburn defensive line matched up with they're much more athletic linebackers. That's something that we talked about during the offseason, is the upgrades at the linebacker position. Now, don't get me wrong, I got mad respect for Deshaun Davis, Darrell Williams, and Montavious Atkinson. They were very sound at the linebacker position, but they kind of handicapped Kevin Steele and what he was able to do. I'll go ahead and bet plenty of money that Kevin Steele would not have been able to do what he was able to do schematically against LSU if he had that same linebacker core, because you have the ability to create some versatility. You put, a speedy guy like Owen Papo at the middle linebacker. You even bring up guys like, Daniel Thomas and Jeremiah Denson. Jeremiah Denson is like a slick, really like a slick wheel linebacker. You can put him even at the Sam on some plays because he tackles so well. So the reason why I'm partial to Auburn's defense is because I think they just play so well. They give you so much versatility with the personnel setups that they are able to maintain. Because I'm even like really intrigued as to what Kevin Steele is going to do to combat the run, because Georgia's going to come in this thing very run heavy. They got Kager at wide receiver, and I really like George Pickens. Kind of still a little bitter on the low about the fact that he flipped to Georgia, but man, the dude is actually a baller. He is a gamer, and he's also got a lot of moxie. Dude slam dunked the damn the ball for a touchdown against Missouri. So big shout out to the Alabama native George Pickens for what he's been able to do in transitioning from from high school, from Hoover High School all the way to the University of Georgia, with a chance to make some really, really nice impact on the game. So as I look at this game, I think this is probably one of the more intriguing games. It gives Auburn the opportunity, if they are going to make some noise as a college football playoff potential type deal, a sound win over Georgia is definitely possible. Now, rewinding this thing back to the Ole Miss game, the only thing I'm a little disappointed about in the Ole Miss game is that Auburn, obviously an overmatched opponent, and Auburn did not take advantage of gaining some style points in that particular game, because that's why, if you notice, you probably looked at the polls that came out like, what the hell, man, Auburn is number 13. The reason why Auburn is number 13 is because I don't think Auburn took advantage of taking that spot when, Jeremiah. Oh, what's up, Hooper Jonah, man? I appreciate you subbing. Appreciate all that, man. War Eagle to you. But either way, I don't think, Auburn took advantage of getting the style points against Ole Miss and solidifying that number 11-10 spot. And now you're down to number 13, to where a lot of iffy stuff has to happen in order to Auburn to get into get the likes up. Appreciate you moderating that thing, God body. That's what I'm talking about. You feel me? Sometimes we don't always agree, but we agree at the same time. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so we got Unleashed Magazine that says, yo, Noop, if the defense can contain the run for 4 quarters and our DBs can win some, I like our I always like our chances to agree against Georgia, because we always, I think, are somewhat in a way evenly matched in what we like to do. We like to run the football, and we like to play good on defense. It's like mano type football when you talk about Georgia. Why is everybody having faith in Gus? Hasn't already proved he can't produce on the big stage when it matters. I mean, that's up for debate. I mean, he did it in 2017. Who's to say he can't do it this year? So, I mean, we can't totally write the guy off. But either way, I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Just wanted to do something real quick. I hadn't addressed you all on the live stream. I'm going to have a little bit more time. We're going to talk about some more stuff tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge Lisa Daniel, who was one of my faithful subscribers. Bo has some things going on, stand out. The most is that he's he's got happy feet, man. He's got to get a little bit more. He definitely has to get a little bit more more confident in the pocket, and I think that will take him a long way. That's why I compared his. Maybe he wants to look. He may want to look at Joe Burrow and how Joe Burrow functions in the pocket. With he trusts his offensive line. I think that's the biggest thing. Is Bo Nix doesn't necessarily trust his offensive line. Also, the unforced errors, it kind of gets things a little out of sync. So, oh yeah, and I think Bo really does need to run more, and he needs to run to a point that he gets defenses off balance more, which is what Joe Burrow likes to do. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys joining me real quick. We got a long week, man, before this Georgia game. Got a little free time tomorrow. Might hit y'all with a live stream tomorrow. Definitely gonna have some videos. I just uploaded one right before this particular live stream. Hey, once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the live stream and podcast. Go ahead and like this podcast, subscribe to the channel. Once again, I appreciate all the new subscribers out there, man. We are really doing our thing with this Vernon Speak Sports Auburn thing. Definitely love your support and just wanting to get that consistent Auburn content out there, which I don't think a lot of people are willing to do. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.